Welcome to Sun Moon Saga. I hope you enjoy this story. Let's begin. I glanced at my phone as I pulled into the parking lot of our favorite cafe. Perfect timing. Emma's car was already there, which meant she had snagged our usual spot by the window. A grin spread across my face as I imagined her reaction to the news I was about to share. As I walked into the cozy Seattle coffee shop, I breathed in the familiar scent of freshly brewed coffee and cinnamon rolls. 15 years of friendship, and that smell still brought a smile to my face. Sure, we'd had our ups and downs, but our bond was unbreakable, or so I thought. Emma waved at me from our corner table, her smile as radiant as ever. I waved back, feeling a rush of affection and gratitude for the woman who had stood by me through thick and thin. We hugged, and as I sat down, I noticed a slight tension in her eyes, a flicker of something I couldn't quite place. "How's everything going?" I asked, genuinely curious.
Great, great. How about you? You look like you have some exciting news.
I couldn't contain my excitement any longer. I do. Mark and I are finally taking that trip to Italy we've always talked about. We leave in 2 weeks. Emma's smile faltered for a split second before she recovered.
That's amazing. Sarah, I am so happy for you.
We chatted for a while, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Emma seemed distracted, her eyes darting to her phone every few minutes. When I asked her about it, she brushed it off as work-related, but I wasn't convinced. The usual warmth of our interactions felt slightly strained, and an unspoken tension hung between us. I tried to push it aside, focusing instead on the excitement of our upcoming trip, but my mind kept circling back to Emma's odd behavior. After we finished our coffees and cinnamon rolls, Emma suggested we move to a quieter spot in the cafe to continue our chat. We settled into a secluded booth, the dim lighting creating a more intimate atmosphere. Emma's phone, as if drawn by some magnetic force, lay on the table between us. I could see her notifications lighting up the screen, a steady stream of messages that she glanced at more often than seemed necessary. At one point, she excused herself to make a call. As she stepped away, I found my gaze drawn irresistibly to the phone. It was as if something inside me urged me to look, to understand what was causing this discomfort between us. I knew it was a breach of trust, but curiosity gnawed at me. The phone was unlocked, revealing a flurry of recent messages. I hesitated for a moment, then glanced at the screen. My heart sank as I saw a conversation between Emma and Mark, the very Mark I had shared so many memories with. The messages were laced with affection, hints of a deeper relationship I hadn't been aware of. Phrases like "I miss you" and "can't wait to see you tonight" were exchanged, their tone intimate and familiar. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Emma and Mark were not just friends. They were involved in a way that went beyond mere companionship. The betrayal was a gut punch, and I struggled to steady my breathing. My mind raced as I tried to piece together how I could have missed something so significant. Emma returned to the table, her face a mask of casual indifference. I looked up, forcing a smile that felt like a lie. "Everything okay?" I asked, though the words felt hollow.
Yeah, just a quick check-in with work.
Emma replied, her voice betraying a hint of nervousness. I nodded, though my thoughts were elsewhere. The revelation I had just discovered was too overwhelming to process in a single moment. I needed to confront the situation, but not here, not now. Instead, I focused on maintaining a semblance of normalcy as we finished our conversation, my mind consumed by the weight of the truth I had uncovered. As we said our goodbyes, I felt a mixture of anger, sadness, and confusion. I hugged Emma tightly, the gesture now tinged with a sense of betrayal. She seemed to sense my unease, but chose to ignore it. Driving home, the familiar sights of Seattle blurred past. My thoughts were a whirlwind of emotions, struggling to reconcile the person I thought I knew with the reality I had just uncovered. The house I was headed to, once a place of comfort and shared memories, now felt like a stage for a confrontation I wasn't sure I was ready to face. But I knew I had to address it. For now, I was left with a sense of hollow anticipation and the need to make sense of the shattered illusion of trust. The drive home felt longer than usual, each minute stretching into an eternity as I replayed the revelation in my mind. I pulled into the driveway, the house now looming large in my thoughts, a stark contrast to the haven it once represented. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart, and walked inside. I knew I couldn't confront Emma just yet. Our conversation earlier had shown she was still in denial, or perhaps trying to shield herself from the truth. No. I needed to speak with Mark. His house was just a few blocks away, and I had to face him before anything else. I grabbed my coat and headed out, my resolve hardening with each step. When I arrived at Mark's place, I took a moment to gather my thoughts. The cozy suburban home, with its neatly trimmed lawn and charming exterior, seemed almost mocking in its normalcy. I rang the doorbell and waited, my pulse quickening as the minutes ticked by. Mark opened the door, his face lighting up in recognition.
Sarah, what's up? I wasn't expecting to see you.
His casual demeanor felt like a slap in the face. I forced a tight smile, stepping inside. Mark, we need to talk. He glanced at me with a hint of curiosity, but gestured me to the living room.
Sure, come on in. What's going on?
We settled into the plush couch, and I took a moment to steady myself. Mark's warm, inviting home seemed to contrast sharply with the storm brewing inside me. I looked at him, trying to find a trace of the friend I once knew, but all I could see was the man who had betrayed that trust. I don't know how to start this, I said finally, my voice trembling slightly. I saw some messages on Emma's phone today. Messages between you and her. Mark's face shifted from confusion to a guarded expression.
Messages? Sarah,
I saw everything, Mark. The way you talk to each other, it's clear there's something going on between you. I interrupted, unable to mask the hurt in my voice. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his hands clasped together.
Sarah, I'm so sorry. I didn't want you to find out this way.
Then how did you want me to find out? I snapped, my voice cracking. The betrayal is bad enough, but to find out like this, it feels like a knife to the heart. Mark sighed, running a hand through his hair.
I know, and I should have told you, but things just evolved between us. Emma and I, we started getting closer, and it wasn't something either of us planned. I never meant to hurt you.
Never meant to hurt me? I echoed, my voice rising. You didn't think of me at all, did you? You knew how much Emma meant to me, and you still went behind my back.
I never meant for it to get to this point. We were friends, and what happened between us wasn't supposed to change that, but I realize now that it did, and I'm sorry. I genuinely am.
The weight of his apology did little to ease the sting of betrayal. I felt tears well up in my eyes, a mixture of anger and sadness threatening to overwhelm me. I need you to understand something, Mark. This isn't just about you and Emma. This is about a decade and a half of friendship that you've shattered. It's about trust and respect, and those are things that can't just be mended with apologies. Mark looked down, nodding slowly.
I understand. I'll give you the space you need. I just hope someday you can forgive us.
I don't know if I can, I said honestly. I need time to process all of this. But right now, I just need to be away from all of it. With that, I stood up, feeling a heavy weight lift slightly with each step I took towards the door. Mark walked me out, his expression a mixture of regret and helplessness. As I stepped into the crisp evening air, I felt a strange sense of finality. The drive back home was quiet, my mind still reeling from the confrontation. I knew that whatever came next, it would require a lot of soul-searching and healing. But for now, all I could do was focus on navigating this new reality and finding a way to rebuild the trust that had been so carelessly shattered. For weeks, I struggled with the pain of betrayal. Nights were the hardest, as memories of happier times flooded my mind. I sought solace in my community, reaching out to other friends and family. Their support was invaluable, reminding me that I wasn't alone. Slowly, I began to rebuild my life. I broke up with Mark, unable to continue the charade of a happy relationship. It was a painful process, but also liberating. I focused on myself, rediscovering passions and hobbies I had neglected. One evening, as I sat on my porch watching the sunset, I received a message from Emma. My heart raced as I opened it, unsure of what to expect.
Sarah, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know how truly sorry I am. Losing you has been the hardest thing I've ever experienced. I miss our friendship more than words can say. Please, if you can find it in your heart, let's meet and talk. If not, I understand.
I stared at the message, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through me. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let the past stay buried. But another part of me yearned for closure, for some semblance of understanding. After much contemplation, I decided to meet Emma. We arranged to meet at a quiet park, away from the memories of our favorite cafe. As I walked towards her, I felt a mix of apprehension and hope. Emma looked different, the weight of her actions clearly etched on her face. She stood up as I approached, her eyes filled with regret.
Thank you for meeting me.
I nodded, unsure of what to say. We sat on a bench, the silence between us heavy with unspoken words.
Sarah, I don't know how to begin to apologize. I made the worst mistake of my life, and I lost the most important person in the process. I've been seeing a therapist, trying to understand why I did what I did. All I can say is that I'm deeply, deeply sorry.
I listened, feeling a mixture of sadness and relief. Sadness for the friendship that was lost, and relief that Emma was genuinely remorseful. I appreciate your apology, I said finally, but it's going to take time for me to heal. I don't know if things can ever be the same between us.
I understand. I just hope that one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me.
We talked for a while longer, sharing memories and expressing our feelings. It was a difficult conversation, but also a necessary one. As we parted ways, I felt a sense of closure. The wound was still there, but it was beginning to heal. In the months that followed, I continued to focus on my personal growth. I joined a local women's group, finding strength in the stories of others who had faced similar betrayals. Their resilience inspired me, and I began to see my own strength. One day, as I was attending a group meeting, a new member joined. Her name was Claire, and she had a warmth about her that immediately drew me in. We quickly became friends, bonding over shared experiences and a mutual love of gardening. Claire's friendship was a balm to my wounded heart. She was supportive, understanding, and always ready with a kind word or a listening ear. With her help, I began to see that I could open my heart to new friendships, despite the pain of the past. As I stood in my garden one sunny afternoon, watching the flowers bloom, I realized how far I had come. The betrayal that had once shattered my world was now a distant memory. I had built a new life, filled with hope and possibility. Looking back, I saw the betrayal as a turning point. It forced me to confront my deepest fears and insecurities, but it also led me to discover my inner strength. I had learned to value myself, to prioritize my own happiness, and to surround myself with people who truly cared. Emma and I never fully repaired our friendship, but we reached a place of mutual respect and understanding. I wished her well, and she did the same for me. Our paths had diverged, but the time we spent together would always hold a special place in my heart. As for Mark, I had moved on. I focused on my career, my hobbies, and my new friendships. I traveled to Italy, fulfilling the dream that once seemed impossible. The trip was a revelation, a reminder that life could be beautiful and full of adventure, even after heartbreak. One evening, as I sat on my porch watching the sunset, I received a message from Claire.
Hey, Sarah. Want to go to the new Italian restaurant that just opened? I've heard it's amazing.
A smile spread across my face as I replied, "Absolutely, let's make it a date." I had come full circle, from betrayal and heartbreak to renewal and hope. My story was one of resilience, of finding strength in the face of adversity, and of discovering the true meaning of friendship and community. And as I looked forward to a new chapter in my life, I knew that I was ready for whatever came next. With friends like Claire by my side and the lessons I had learned along the way, I felt invincible. So, to all the women out there who have faced betrayal and heartbreak, remember this: you are stronger than you think. Surround yourself with those who lift you up, cherish the memories that make you smile, and never be afraid to open your heart to new possibilities. Your story is just beginning, and the best is yet to come. Did you enjoy this story? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.